August 2024, 8-year-old Narin Güran disappeared from her village in Diyarbakır, Turkey. A massive search effort, lasting 19 days, ensued before her body was discovered hidden in a sack in a creek, covered with stones. The case shocked the nation and triggered widespread public outrage. Investigators soon uncovered that several of Narin's family members were involved in the murder. Her uncle, Salim Güran, who was the village headman, along with her mother, Yüksel, and brother, Enes, were implicated. The motive appears to be that Narin had witnessed an illicit affair between her mother and uncle. Fearing that Narin would expose their secret, the family allegedly conspired to silence her forever. Let's dive into the ongoing investigation surrounding the death of Narin Güran. Part 1. Background of the family. The Güran family, central to the heartbreaking murder of Narin, is composed of several key individuals, most of whom have become primary suspects in the investigation. Below is an introduction to the family members most closely involved in the case. Salim Güran, Narin's uncle, has emerged as a central figure in the investigation. He was arrested after forensic evidence revealed Narin's DNA in his car, strongly implicating him in her murder. Yüksel Güran, Narin's mother, is another major suspect in the case. She was arrested on charges of complicity in the murder, with investigators pointing to her role in the family conspiracy. According to the investigation, Yüksel had an illicit relationship with her brother-in-law, Salim, which Narin witnessed shortly before her disappearance. Fearing the exposure of their relationship, Yüksel allegedly played a part in the plot to silence her daughter. Enes Güran, Narin's older brother, is also implicated in the crime. Though his role in the murder remains somewhat unclear, he was briefly detained after bite marks were found on his arm, leading investigators to suspect that he may have been involved in a struggle with Narin. While forensic tests on these bite marks were inconclusive, Enes was charged with participating in the premeditated murder of his sister alongside his mother and uncle. Fuat Güran, another uncle of Narin, has also been implicated in the investigation. While his role is less direct, Fuat, along with other cousins and distant relatives, has been accused of misleading authorities during the search for Narin. Reports suggest that he, alongside other family members, provided false information to investigators, tampered with evidence, and even helped stage diversions, such as power outages and fires, to obstruct the search efforts. Other family members, including distant relatives and close associates, have also been detained during the investigation for their roles in obstructing justice. These individuals have been accused of tampering with evidence and lying to the authorities in order to shield Salim and Yüksel from scrutiny. Among these figures, Nevzat Bahtiyar, a family associate, confessed to helping Salim dispose of Narin's body by hiding it in a creek. He claimed that Salim had offered him 200,000 lira to ensure the body was never found. But let's rewind a little bit. How did it all start? Part 2. The disappearance. On August 21, 2024, 8-year-old Narin Güran disappeared after attending a Quran lesson in her village, Tavşantepe, located in Diyarbakır, Turkey. Her family initially searched for her themselves, but as time passed and no sign of her was found, her father reported her missing later that evening around 8 p.m. The case immediately gained public attention due to the mystery surrounding her sudden disappearance and her young age, prompting large-scale search efforts from both local authorities and volunteer groups. Part 3. The search. The disappearance of Narin Güran, an 8-year-old girl from Tavşantepe, Diyarbakır, set off a frantic search on August 21, 2024, after she failed to return home from her Quran lesson. Narin's family initially searched for her themselves, but when they were unable to locate her, they reported her missing later that evening at around 8 p.m. This triggered a large-scale operation involving both local law enforcement and volunteers. The community came together in an effort to find her, but their search was about to be complicated by the very people who were supposed to help. Search teams from Diyarbakır and Ankara, including special units, were dispatched to comb the area surrounding her village. Over the next 19 days, the teams would search the area multiple times, reportedly 8 searches in total, with no immediate results. They scoured Ayer Tutmaz Creek, nearby woods, and other potential hiding spots around 2 kilometers from Narin's home. Despite their diligent efforts, Narin's body remained hidden, eluding the teams. What became more apparent as time went on was that Narin's family was actively obstructing the investigation. Narin's uncle, Salim Güran, emerged as one of the key figures involved in misleading the authorities. He was the village headman, a muhtar. A muhtar is a local official in Turkey who acts as the elected head of a village or a neighborhood within a town or city. The role of the muhtar is primarily administrative and involves responsibilities like keeping records of residents, verifying official documents, and mediating disputes. They also serve as a liaison between the local government and the people, helping to communicate local needs or issues to higher authorities. Muhtars are elected by their communities, and their authority is limited to their specific area of jurisdiction, whether it's a village or a neighborhood, called mahalle in Turkish, of Tavşantepe, and wielded significant influence in the community, which he used to his advantage. Salim, along with other family members, reportedly provided false information to authorities, directing search teams away from crucial areas and misinforming them about Narin's potential whereabouts. This deliberate sabotage made the investigation more complicated and delayed the eventual discovery of Narin's body. In addition to providing false leads, the family is believed to have staged disruptive events, such as power outages and fires, which diverted attention from key locations that could have been searched sooner. These events were part of an effort to hide evidence and throw investigators off track, further delaying any real progress in the case. Finally, on September 8, 2024, after 19 days of searching, Narin's body was found in Ayer Tutmaz Creek not far from the village. Her body had been placed in a sack and was hidden under stones and tree branches, camouflaged to blend into the natural surroundings. The area had already been searched multiple times, but due to the careful way the body was concealed, it had gone unnoticed. This discovery marked a major turning point in the investigation. The breakthrough came not just because of the persistent efforts of the search teams, but due to a critical confession from Nevzat Bahtiyar, a key associate of Narin's uncle. Bahtiyar confessed to having been approached by Salim Güran, who offered him 200,000 lira, around $5,800, to dispose of Narin's body. According to Bahtiyar, Salim handed him a sack containing Narin's lifeless body and instructed him to get rid of it. Fearing for his own safety and the safety of his family, after Salim had allegedly threatened him, Bahtiyar followed through with Salim's orders, taking the body to the creek and hiding it under rocks to make it appear as though nothing was out of the ordinary. Part 4. The Confession and Investigation. Following the confession from Nevzat Bahtiyar, the investigation into the murder of Narin Güran revealed a disturbing and premeditated conspiracy involving multiple family members. Chief among them were Salim Güran, Narin's uncle, and the village muhtar headman, and her mother, Yüksel Güran. Bahtiyar, an associate of Salim, as mentioned previously, confessed to disposing of Narin's body in a creek after being offered 200,000 lira and threatened by Salim to do so. He detailed how Salim handed him Narin's lifeless body wrapped in a sack and instructed him to hide it in a way that it wouldn't be easily found. This confession provided crucial evidence, leading investigators to intensify their focus on the family. Salim became a primary suspect after DNA evidence was found in his car, which matched samples from Narin's clothing. Investigators believed that the motive behind the murder was tied to Narin, witnessing an illicit affair between her mother, Yüksel, and her uncle, Salim. Fearing that Narin would expose this secret, the family allegedly conspired to silence her permanently. Narin's brother Enes was also briefly detained after authorities noticed bite marks on his arm, which raised suspicion that he may have been involved in a struggle with his sister. However, forensic analysis was inconclusive, and Enes was eventually released. His potential involvement in the crime, however, remained an important aspect of the investigation, with authorities keeping a close watch on his actions. In the aftermath of Narin's disappearance, the Güran family attempted to obstruct the investigation by providing false testimonies and misleading the gendarmerie. These efforts delayed the discovery of Narin's body, which was ultimately found in the Ertutmaz Creek 19 days later, concealed under stones. Salim, as the village headman, had considerable influence, which he used to mislead search efforts, divert attention from the creek, and convince other family members to fabricate stories to confuse the authorities. As the investigation unfolded, Yüksel, along with several other relatives, was implicated in the cover-up. Under pressure from Salim, many of them had altered their statements to shield themselves from suspicion. It became clear that Salim was orchestrating much of the deception, using his position of power to influence others and manipulate the investigation. The WhatsApp messages and digital evidence. A crucial component of the investigation revolved around WhatsApp messages exchanged between family members, including Salim with a minor. Investigators suspected that these messages contained discussions about the murder and subsequent cover-up, potentially providing direct evidence of the family's involvement. However, WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption policy proved to be a significant problem for the investigators. Meta, the company that owns WhatsApp, stated that they were unable to retrieve deleted messages because the platform does not store copies of personal conversations. Unless the family members had manually backed up their chats on third-party services like Google Drive or iCloud, the deleted messages could not be recovered. While investigators hoped that the messages would reveal key details about the planning and execution of the murder, this setback limited the amount of direct digital evidence that could be obtained. Nonetheless, metadata provided by WhatsApp, such as timestamps and IP addresses, was used to track communication patterns between the suspects. Narin's funeral and public reaction. After Narin's body was found on September 8, 2024, her funeral took place soon afterward, drawing significant attention not just from the media, but also from women's rights groups and activists across Turkey. Narin's funeral was a solemn event, but it was marked by controversy. Women's groups aimed to set up a mourning tent in Koşuyolu Park in Diyarbakır to commemorate Narin and raise awareness of the ongoing issues of violence against women and children in Turkey. Initially, the police blocked this attempt, citing concerns over potential armed attacks, leading to heightened tensions. It was only after intervention from local mayors that the mourning tent was finally allowed to be set up. The broader public reaction to Narin's murder was one of outrage. Her death highlighted not just the violence she suffered, but the widespread issue of domestic violence and familial abuse within Turkey. Activists and rights organizations called for comprehensive reforms to better protect vulnerable children and women from such atrocities. The case particularly resonated with MP Adalet Kaya, from the pro-Kurdish People's Equality and Democracy Party, who emphasized that Narin's murder was emblematic of the Turkish state's ongoing failure to adequately protect vulnerable individuals, especially children, from violence within their homes. Hostility towards investigators and media coverage. Amidst the investigation, the Güran family's hostility extended beyond their efforts to obstruct the search and investigation. Several members of the family were accused of intimidating reporters and other individuals involved in uncovering the truth. A notable incident occurred when reporter Ferit Demir, who was closely following the case, recounted receiving a death threat from one of Narin's relatives at her cemetery. The relative told Demir, "Actually, we should kill you. Why are you saying these things?" This threat, delivered in the context of growing tension within the family as more details about the conspiracy came to light, attracted widespread media attention and further raised suspicion towards the family. In another incident widely shared on social media, a family member was filmed confronting a crowd outside the funeral room. shouting angrily at onlookers and accusing them of spreading lies. The video further fueled public outrage, as it appeared that certain members of the family were more concerned with protecting themselves than seeking justice for Narin. By mid-September 2024, at least 24 individuals, including several family members, were detained for their roles in the conspiracy, with more expected to face charges as the case continued to unfold. Narin's father, Narin Güran, though initially detained, was released after no evidence of his involvement in the crime was found. Arif publicly expressed his devastation, claiming that the family had once been close-knit and that he had no knowledge of the affair between Yüksel and Salim. The investigation into Salim Güran revealed that, in addition to his illicit relationship with Yüksel Güran, Narin's mother, Salim was allegedly involved with another woman as well. Reports indicate that on August 20th, 2024, Narin witnessed not only her mother and uncle together, but also another female relative in an intimate situation with Salim. This event is believed to have further motivated the family's decision to silence Narin, fearing that she might expose both affairs, which would bring shame and scandal upon the family. Other family members, including Narin's brother Enes and mother Yüksel, were also arrested after their statements were found to be contradictory during interrogation. In a significant development, the authorities have reopened the investigation into the suspicious death of Narin's sister Tulin, who died in 2019. Tulin's death had originally been attributed to respiratory failure after allegedly falling down the stairs. However, no autopsy was performed at the time. Now, with the murder of Narin, prosecutors are investigating whether Tulin's death was similarly the result of foul play, potentially uncovering a broader pattern of violence within the family. The government, led by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has vowed to bring the culprits to justice, with some even calling for the reinstatement of the death penalty for crimes against children. Part 5. The Autopsy. The autopsy report for 8-year-old Narin Güran, who was found dead 19 days after her disappearance, has provided critical information regarding her cause of death. According to the report, Narin was strangled to death on August 21st, 2024, the same day she disappeared. The forensic findings confirmed that her mouth and nose were forcibly covered, and pressure was applied to her neck, leading to asphyxiation. The Istanbul Forensic Medicine Institute was responsible for the detailed analysis, which concluded that manual strangulation was the cause of her death. The report also addressed some of the body's post-mortem injuries. Narin's left leg was severed below the knee, but this was determined to have occurred after death, likely due to animal activity while her body was left in the stream for days. Furthermore, due to the body's advanced decomposition, it was not possible to conclusively determine whether Narin had been sexually assaulted. The forensic team collected 91 samples for further analysis to investigate the possibility of other criminal acts, such as abuse, though the initial report ruled out sharp force injuries, gunshots, or blunt force trauma. Part 6. Collusion. As of now, the investigation is ongoing, with the forensic team still awaiting results on bite marks found on Narin's brother, Enes Güran, which may provide further insights into the case. Rest in peace, Narin, and may the truth of what happened to you come to light soon.